Today's episode, we are talking about due diligence, right? How to thoroughly vet out a business opportunity or potential investment. What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Financial Freedom Fast Lane. And you know the vibes. The quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. And I'm your host, George Acheampong. Before we get into it, now if I gotta start something, I gotta do this every week. You mean to tell me I gotta come up with a new design every week? But this week we got, let's move the mic. I'm leaving with something. You got the Melanin Money, like the trademark, the double M. You see what's going on. I'm leaving with something. I like this one because my man Denzel, that was a hilarious clip. If we can show that clip, that'd be hilarious.
I see a big tray. I'm leaving here with something. I'm from around the way. I'm leaving with something.
But Denzel, when he was like, I'm leaving with something, right? I thought that was funny since the very first time I saw it. But it also has so many different meanings, right? Especially in the world of investing, or entrepreneurship. I am leaving with something. I don't care what y'all say. I've been grinding tooth and nail, blood, sweat, and tears. I am leaving with something, right? So what are you leaving with, right? I think it's very open-ended and people can insert their own interpretation for what it means to them. But I like the saying because I got my own brand, right? I was able to put it on the shirt. And if you want it, let me know in the comments. Let me know if we should print these, put them in the Melanin Money store, and you can let the world know that you leaving with something, right? Let's get into it. So due diligence is very, very important because sometimes, things can seem like a good idea. It can seem like a great investment, but you haven't really sat down to ask the right questions to figure out if this is something you should thoroughly consider based upon the responses, right? Now, this isn't comprehensive. This isn't necessarily the blueprint for due diligence, but these are some questions that came to mind for me when I was recently going through a potential business partnership, or I should say like a joint venture opportunity. These are the questions that came to mind for me before being willing to accept this potential opportunity. And I hope that these questions are helpful for you in your process of doing due diligence. All right, here's a good one. This is the first one. Who has this already worked for in the past, right? And what results have they gotten, right? This is great for if someone reaches out to you and say, I have the best email marketing agency, digital marketing, paid ads, whatever the service is, right? And I think you'd be a great fit. Cool. Or you Google it and you see it. They got great marketing, a great brand, and you think they can get the job done for me. But before you jump the gun, right, ask them who has this worked for, right? And what results did they get? And if possible, have them show you some type of proof, some type of social proof that can validate that they know what they're doing. And it's not just a good idea, right? Because everybody has good ideas. Y'all got this great business opportunity and it will be able to do all these things. Oh, great. When you did it for so-and-so, how did that go? Well, we haven't done it for nobody yet, but we know that it'll work. What's that mean? Emoji? Cool story, bro. I don't want to be the test dummy, right? I need to know that this works. So ask them, who has it worked for in the past and what results did they get? All right. So this question here will really tell you if they're transparent about their business, about the investment, whatever, right? What current challenges are you having with your clients and customers? And what are you actively doing to solve it, right? Because here's the thing. Most people aren't going to want to admit to the challenges that they're having. But I'm actually more inclined to work with someone if they admit it. One, because they're trustworthy and they're honest. Two, because it lets me know that they have an actual pulse on the health of your business. Because if you tell me that there is no constraints in your business and everything's perfect and everybody's happy, then I know either one, you're not telling the truth. I won't say lying. You're not telling the truth, or maybe even worse, you are oblivious to what's going on in your business, right? That's just as bad as not telling the truth. Because if you are oblivious to what's happening in your business, then that means I'm walking into an opportunity or an investment that surely, right, is going to blow up in my face. So I am always interested in what are those current challenges and what are you doing to solve them? Because nobody's perfect. The question just becomes, do you have awareness about what those constraints are? And do you have a plan and a process to be able to mitigate them? Because another telltale thing is they tell me the constraint, but they have no plan to fix it. So that means, okay, I'm going to hire you and I'm going to have to deal with this problem forever because you have no intention of fixing it. Absolutely not. All right. This is another one of those tough questions that most people would either have a problem answering or won't be able to answer, or often not willing to answer it truthfully, right? Who would you consider to be your top competitors? What do they do better than you currently? And what do you do better than them? Now, they'll be happy to answer the latter part of that question, what they do better than them. Oh yeah, we this, we that, we do this, we do backflips, we swim underwater, right? What do they do better than you? They don't do nothing better than me. We the best in the business. Okay. Right? Or even worse, we ain't got no competitors. We're the unicorns. We're the first ones to ever do it. Now that sounds cute. And in some cases that could be true. But I, as an investor, right, for sure, I want to know that you are, okay, maybe an early adopter, but also in a market that is proven, right? A solution that is proven. In the words of a great philosopher, right? Champagne Papi, better known as Drake. It's not about who did it first. It's about who did it right. So I don't care if you're the first. I don't care if nobody else has done it. I just care if you figured out something that they haven't and you got a little market share that you can carve out. That's what I care about. Not to say that new, fresh, bright, never before done ideas aren't welcome, but they're a little bit more risky, especially that they've never been done. So this is a great question to uncover. Like, do they know who their competitors are, right? Are they honest about the fact that they have competitors? And are they honest about the fact that the competitor inherently does do something better than them, right? I want them to have awareness of that, because what their competitor does better or what their competitor does different might not matter in the grand scheme of things, in the context of the fact that they might be working to solve a different subset of a problem, right? They might not be looking to solve the exact same problem the exact same way. So that might be okay. But we need to know those facts in our due diligence process so we can make an educated and informed decisions. All right, this is a really good one. And this is one that I ask myself all the time, right? What is a single point of failure that could completely disrupt the nature of this business, right? What's one thing that if it happened, the business could either not run anymore or would be severely disrupted? And I encourage you to all to ask yourselves that as well, right? So for example, pull something out of my hat here, right? Let's say that Apple, for example, right? If the chips that Apple uses to power their phones, right? If for some reason they could no longer get access to the material, the software, the technology to build those chips, that will cause a severe business disruption to Apple if all of their devices or most of their devices call for those chips, right? So the thing about single points of failure is we need to know upfront what would be the contingency if that single point of failure were to happen. What's the backup plan, right? Again, it sounds cute to say, I have no backup plan. Plan B, plan A is, what do people say? Plan A is plan B, or whatever the case may be, right? Okay. Sounds good. And I can appreciate that, right? I find my glasses are crooked. I don't know. And I can appreciate that. But at the same token, I want to know that you understand what are your vulnerabilities and what are the fail safes you have in place, right? The power company has a backup grid because they know that a storm could come or something could happen. Somebody could hit a light pole, and they got to be able to have a way to get the power up and running. So how are you going to keep the lights on in your, ooh, that was good. How are you going to keep the lights on in your business, right? If you have a disruption, a severe business disruption, a single point of failure, right? So when you're thinking about investing in something, or you're thinking about a business that you want to work with, that's an important question. Because if they don't have an answer for that, it's like, ooh, you mean to tell me it's like something goes south? Like I'm basically just SOL, right? So what is the plan, right? If there's a single point of failure, and there is a single point of failure in every business, there is. And they might just not have done the due diligence to think about what that looks like and what they're going to do to replace it. All right, this second question is kind of a derivative, or this next question, I should say, is kind of a derivative of the one I just asked, right? What regulatory and compliance considerations could cause a disruption to your business? Now, technically, you could just lump that into a severe business disruption, right? But I like to act it as a derivative because I feel like one they have control over and one they don't, right? If there are policy changes into the nature of your industry or sector or marketplace, you don't necessarily have much control or influence over that, right? But if you know that you're using this software to house your courses or your membership platform, and if that company decided one day that, hey, we don't want to do this anymore, right? That's something you can control. Oh, I've already vetted out 3 different providers. I export my data on a regular basis, right? We actually even have the bones of a portal built out on this one platform. So if something happens, right, it'll take us 72 hours to get up and running, right? But one you don't have control over. So to have awareness of it is important, and to ask yourself, if you still were going to try to do this business, what must you adjust to meet the regulatory and compliance changes, or still to be able to circumvent or do business in light of said regulatory and compliance changes? Last but not least, do you anticipate or foresee any micro or macro economic factors that could disrupt your business, right? So what's going on in your industry would be micro, or what's going on in your actual business, right? Like what's happening. That's a micro, right? Economic thing that could impact your business. And what is happening in the macro? What's happening in the world? Are there geopolitical constraints, right? Like what's happening in the broader world that could impact your business? These are things that you want to have a pulse on. A lot of times people just be like, oh, I got this great idea and it's going to work forever. Or I got this great business and it's going to work forever. Cool. Right? And I hope that's true. But what is your contingency plan in the event that it doesn't happen? I'm pretty sure y'all have heard me say this quote before: wealth is made through concentration, it's preserved through diversification. So one of the things I'm always thinking about as a CEO is, okay, we have this way or these ways of making money that are working well. But as that money comes in, let's diversify, right, how we make money, so that in the event that those core offers ever dry up or something happens, right, we have a way to still sustain ourselves. Which is why you see companies like Facebook, as they begin to mature, they start to do a lot of acquisitions. Those acquisitions are to diversify their business, go into new frontiers, right, as a hedge, not as, because it's not always just about expansion. It's also as a hedge against what happens if our core business slows down, right? So Meta placed a big bet on the metaverse, so much so they changed their company name, right? And they took a lot of losses, right, in that process. I think more so losses of just learning what it looks like and, you know, what was just happening in the sector at the time. But ultimately, Meta has a lot of business lines, right? So while they took a hit and people thought it was gloom and doom, they ended up having one of their best years this year, right? So that was last year, and I called it. I was like, yo, it's hard not to think that Meta is going to be wildly successful with their current balance sheet, right? Their current P&L. People thought I was crazy. I was going against Bloomberg. But here we are in 2023, and the receipts will tell you otherwise, right? So hopefully these questions were helpful in giving you an introductory, at least to the way that I like to think about due diligence. There's a lot more that can go into this, especially if you're thinking about acquiring a business. You want to get independently audit financials and all sorts of stuff. But these are some high level questions that you should be able to at least get an initial gauge of if this makes sense based upon the responses of the company or the person that you are vetting, right? Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. Again, if you have not grabbed your tickets to the Melanin Money Awards show, make sure you grab your tickets, people. It's going to be the event of the year. Melanin Money Awards, inaugural, right? A celebration of wealth for melanin millionaires, both current and aspiring. And if you fit to that bucket, I'll see you at the show. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, the quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to live it. And remember, freedom is for sale if you're willing to pay the price. Peace.